Monday, May 11th, 2026. This is the meeting of the Gettysburg Borough Stormwater Authority. Welcome. I have no specific welcoming or opening remarks. We have no announcements from anyone that I see, so we'll skip right to our consent agenda, and those are the agenda for this meeting. A motion to approve all bills and payrolls as presented, and a motion to approve the March 9th, 2026 meeting minutes that Karen has corrected many times. You're a saint. Thank you very much. So any questions or discussion about those three items? Not hearing any, I'll take a vote. All in favor of accepting the consent agenda for those three motions? No, you had a comment. I have some comments too, but go right ahead.
Well, my question/comment was, when we look at the itemized scope of work, the first two items seem almost synonymous, and yet there are two separate prices for that work. So I'm just curious what that entails. The first three items in each subset are identical. So are we paying twice for the same work there?
Or each one has 4 visits, and the only difference that I can see is one's a floodplain and the other's a meadow. Any idea on what kind of acreage we're talking about here? Because I thought it was kind of pricey, but.
Yeah, and so these numbers are pretty similar to what they've been for the last 3 years, and Mike hit the nail on the head. There is a floodplain and a meadow. So when we did our stream restoration, they had the floodplain limits, and then the meadow was everything on the embankments and everything. And so they always treated those things separately. In DEP's eyes, we had to keep them separate like that for our permitting and for our credits that we received. So they have to break it out like that in their scope of services. So it kind of does look like it's basically the same thing, right? They're getting rid of the thistles and the things, but they got to do that in the floodplain, and then they got to do that again in the meadow. So it's a good catch there, I guess, or it's a good thing that you're noticing that. But that price really hasn't changed too much from the last 3 years. And this is year 4 of 5, just so you understand. We had to do this maintenance and monitoring for five total years. This is year 4 of 5. So, should you approve this one, we still have to do this one more time next year.
Okay, and then what happens after that?
Hopefully, DEP releases us from our permit. It's a 5-year permit obligation, and this is for our joint permit under DEP and Army Corps of Engineers.
So, is there any chance that they could come back to us and say, oh, well, how about 7 or 8 years because of whatever they're finding out there? Might that ever happen?
I would never say no to that question. Do I see that happening here? And it's been there hasn't been significant amount of erosion. It's been holding up really well.
Right.
It's literally it's the thistles, those invasive species, that's kind of it. And I also understand that this is on National Park Service land. Right. They also have the same goal of keeping invasives off their property. So they do some treatments of their own. So once we're done here with ours, I'm assuming that at that point, the National Park Service is going to continue to do their normal thing on all of their property. They're just not doing it
because it's their property.
On their property. They're just not doing it on our permitted site because it's part of our permit at this point.
Got it. But it will then turn over to them, and at least I can just speak for myself. From my perspective, the ball's in their court.
Yep.
We've done our job for 5 years, and now they can take over.
Yeah. So I would summarize it like this. There's nothing that's jumping out to me that I've seen in these inspection reports, and Mike, I know you've gotten these inspection reports over the years, but there's nothing that's jumping out into me that suggests that DEP would make us extend this to a longer period.
Okay.
Can that still happen? Sure. Right. I haven't seen anything like this causing me to come to you guys and wave a flag and say, hey, I'm concerned about something. And Land Studies hasn't told us anything like that. But it's a good question. I can certainly ask them to see if they know of any other red flags that might come up between now and the end of this 5-year period.
That would be interesting, but, so if you could do that, I think that might be the belt and suspenders that we need. I will say that from what I've seen, their build, what they did, really has held up. I mean, it's, in my opinion, I think they did a really good job, because it has not eroded dramatically at all.
And I would gather the cost, like I said, it has insignificantly changed from the time that they gave it us 3 years ago till now. And my guess is it's because, well, sure, inflation happened, so why isn't it going up? But it's probably because each year they have to do a little less spraying. So they're using a little less chemicals each year, because as the mature vegetation takes over and establishes itself, it kind of chokes out all of the invasives. That's the goal. That's why you have a 5-year period.
Okay? I've said enough. Any other comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
When are they gonna do this, management?
Several times. They do it, I
Four
believe.
times.
Yeah. They're going to try to get this next one in pretty quickly. I was already in touch with them. They're going to probably come out within the next month, and then they'll do it for 3 other consecutive. I think they don't do any during the winter. They do all it during the growing season. So it's going to be like this month, and then maybe skip a month and do it again, and skip a month, do it again, skip a month, do it one more time before the winter time.
You possibly know what dates are coming, just in case you want to get out.
So they always send us a notice, because they have to notify the National Park Service that they're going to be on the property. So whenever I can get that, I can certainly forward that to you guys, or I can ask them to provide us with that date.
Yep. Good. Any other questions? I will entertain a motion then to accept and approve this monitoring maintenance agreement with Land Studies in the amount of $15,200. Someone like to make the motion?
I'll move approval.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Second, thank you. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Not hearing any, it passes. Thank you very much. You can tell them, start the process.
Will do.
Okay, financial updates. Charles?
Sent this to you over the weekend. Right now, there is just over $445,000 in the liquid account over at AC&B Bank. Pligett's monthly report, our investments with the Pennsylvania Local Government Investment Trust, just under $590,000 at your disposal for capital projects as they roll out this year. Revenue to date, you'll want to draw your attention to line item 09383-210, which is our stormwater fees. You can see that we are 108% collected on that line item, which is great news, which means probably more likely than not, could be wrong, that means that we'll be a little slightly under collected at penalty, which we currently are in the penalty phase, as March 31st has come and gone, and the penalty phase continues through June 30th. So with that said, our expenses are in line with what our budgeted parameters are. So for the year, the authority is running a $407,000 surplus year to date. So we're in good condition, I think, financially, barring any catastrophic failures in Culp's Run, et cetera.
I wouldn't bet it's gonna be Culp's Run, but. Okay. Any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
I'm not sure how liquid is going between our liquid account and Pliget, but our liquid account's pretty high. Is it possible to put more over in Pliget and then pull it out?
We could absolutely do that, and it's very easy to move money back and forth between the two. I think from our financial perspective, let me look at this real quick. I think we'd be safe to move it a minimum of 200 over.
because we have money due out for the alley, Graham Alley, right? And that's like 260, as I
Yes.
recall,
Mhm.
63 or something like that. We should have enough cash to cover that. We are working on, as I recall, the planning or the actual engineering for Lincoln Avenue and Fourth Street and all that, right, Chad?
Correct. And later in our agenda, we're gonna be talking about the option of potentially getting Penvest funding for all the storm drain projects, but the
Right.
next project that's coming up is East Lincoln, and that could start as early as this summer/fall. And the construction total there is estimated at 377,000.
But by the time we pay for engineering, it's 450?
It shouldn't be that much. Yeah, I mean, engineering should be mostly done at this point. It might go from 377 to, from today's date. The
Oh, yeah,
total, the
okay.
total we
Total
estimated,
in, to-
the total as we estimated from that project was 444.
Okay.
But we estimated 67,000 for the engineering, and most of that should be done at this point. The only thing we need to do, there's one property that we still got to figure out the pipe on where it goes for private property or is it underneath of a person's shed. And then we got to bid it and do contract administration and inspection.
Okay.
So,
I mean, at a minimum, because it fairly is straightforward, moving the money back and forth, I think it's a good question to ask to, get a little more interest until that bill comes due.
Yep, I think, let's discuss Pat's suggestion, is it?
So,
Given our cash flow, it sounds
Right.
like it's something that is a reasonable move.
do we need that in the form of a motion, or?
You have a policy that you adopted some time ago, but I don't think it hurts to do that
Yeah.
if you're moving money around.
You do have given a blanket authority to move money back and forth. I just haven't thought about doing that yet, so this is
Right.
a great question.
Yep.
It makes sense to do and get every nickel and penny we can.
Okay, any other discussion on that? Because I'll ask somebody to make a motion to move $200,000 from our operating accounts to our Pliget accounts. Is that
Yep.
good enough?
So moved. I'll second it.
Okay, good. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Not
Unless
hearing
Pat
any?
was thinking a higher number.
I was thinking a higher number just because of the liquidity.
Yeah.
And I think we probably, my guess, I don't know, is our liquid account got high because of all the revenue we just brought in.
Yeah, we just collected a bunch
So
of
it's
fees for the
just
year.
Something to be aware of.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd actually feel more comfortable we just gave Charles since it is so liquid to move back and forth, give him management over it.
I think he already has that.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
So who seconds that, and are we sticking with it? Are we gonna stick with the 200,000?
we're sticking with it, but
You
we're
already
just.
voted on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it should be reworded for a minimum of 200. Because to Pat's point, I could see doing a little bit more. It was just a number I threw out based on what we looked at right
Well,
here in
we
the
could
last couple
say
of
not
minutes.
to exceed a number.
Yeah, or not to exceed a number, yeah.
Whatever you want to do. I'd do a separate motion and just strike that prior one.
Okay. All right, let's strike that motion. What's the appetite for this group? To say not to exceed or to?
Do I hear 250?
How do you-
I feel comfortable letting Charles pick the number,
Okay,
Oh, that's fair.
because he knows more about the cash flow, and
okay.
All right.
we
Yeah,
meet every other month, so.
It takes about a 72-hour period to transfer funds between one account and the other. Yeah.
Okay.
and he'll know at
When a
least
bill's
a month
coming,
in advance of
right.
any of the Lincoln Avenue bills coming through from our contract.
So, let's make a motion to allow Charles Gable to move funds from the operating accounts into the Pliget account. Okay?
At his discretion,
Yes.
the
And-
amount,
Right,
the amount and the timing, right?
right. Amount and timing at his
So moved.
discretion. Second? Thanks, John. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, no opposition, we're good. Thank you. Good idea, Pat.
Yep.
Thank you. Deborah's not here, right?
Correct.
Okay, so there's no report on the payments received, but
do
it
you
sounds
have
like.
it?
Oh, I'm sorry. John?
Yeah, so as of today, it was, intake is, for principal has been $485,211.50. Penalties received for the 2026 billing is $1,157.25.
Okay.
John, is that total received?
Yes, as of today.
Okay.
Now, that's not necessarily in the accounts as that comes in through our system, so we have an idea of the money that's come in, we put it into the ledger, but to actually physically take it to the bank, there is a delay with that. So.
Right, that's okay. Okay, any questions? If not, the next natural question is to the solicitor about the liens. Anything?
No, nothing dramatic to report. There's still several that we intended to file in our last, I'll say, tranche of liens. There several weeks ago, but could not because there was some manner of concern with them. Maybe they were sent to the wrong address. Maybe they were sent to a prior owner, but to the correct address. Something of that sort. I believe that 30-day letters have gone out to all of those folks. We're not quite at 30 days yet. Those 30-day letters are the ones that we send out, first class and certified, telling people they need to pay. They got the bill previously resent to them, still unpaid. Now we're in a 30-day period. I think it was 6 or 8, not a
Okay.
ton.
Okay.
I'd like to get those taken care of before we move on to the next batch, because I suspect there may be some repeats in them.
Right.
And hopefully everything's been, excuse me, updated so that we're not dealing with the same situation with the same properties again. Beyond that, I don't have a whole lot to report. Sheriff sales are coming up. I don't believe we have any that are subject to liens in this
Good.
round of sheriff sales. Whenever that happens, we bid them in and get recouped that way.
Right. Okay.
I will be interested to see how many liens there are in this second round of the year. This is the first time that we've done that because of the shift in billing cycle. So it may be higher, it may be low, I'm not sure.
I'm sure there will be confusion because of that.
We had quite a bit more in this last round than we typically do, and I'm thinking it was something to do with
Right.
that.
Right.
So,
I think you're right. Okay. Questions, comments? Okay. Thank you. We can move on to old business updates. Chad, Stevens Run.
So the Stevens Run Water Street Bridge, not a lot to report on there. Our permits have been submitted to PennDOT, so we're waiting for structural adequacy, and once we get that, then we'll get council to authorize us to move forward with the bidding phase. But we're moving forward with the project, just not a whole lot. We're just waiting on PennDOT at this point.
So the work that's been done there on East Water is gas? Rob?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Oh,
I thought they were
yes.
working on that. It was
Yeah.
been
No,
closed
no,
a
yeah,
number of
that's-
days and open, you know, okay.
That's not us.
Okay, thank you.
GMA Interceptor project, that's the Bream Alley. It's mostly done. So we're hoping that it's going to get wrapped up here soon, and we'll have to make that final payment like we just talked about, and that project will be we finally put behind us. Anything else you want to add there for that? Just it's basically almost done.
Yep.
We've been again mainly deferring to GMA and Bucart and their engineer Bucart, so we're only involved if needed, or as needed type of a thing for that, with all of their finish work. So the third thing there is a Columbia Gas project on East Lincoln Avenue. Columbia Gas is still working. GMA's project is going out to bid soon. They're next in line for utility replacement, and then it'll be us last, just like I reported. So
Right.
we're kind of waiting. We only have a little bit to do with our design yet. Like I said, there's that one property owner off of Victor where the water line or the storm drain comes underneath of a person's shed. So we're still trying to figure that out. Charlie talked to me about that a little bit, and we had a conversation with Robbie. Aside from that, there's not a whole lot for us to do. We're just gonna be waiting at that point for a green light for our turn to start our construction, and at that point, we'll put that project out to bid. So
Okay.
not a whole lot to report on tonight on that project.
But Columbia Gas is paying to repave the roads.
Yeah, ultimately there'll be, and this is for next year's budget, there'll be a couple different components to this. So there's going to be 3 different parties involved, you know, between the Borough, Stormwater Authority, Gettysburg Municipal Authority, Columbia Gas, different roads, and different levels of involvement for each
Right.
one of those roads.
Right.
With East Lincoln, all of us are
In it
equally
together,
involved.
Right.
Yeah. North 4th Street is mostly Stormwater Authority. It's not so much the others. It's a little bit of GMA, but not that much even for them. Hardly any gas there.
Okay.
And then the state highway portions, everybody has to do their own thing there. It's just the way, you know, we don't have the luxury of doing a shared paving thing with PennDOT. Everybody just has to kind of do their own thing. Now, we will be trying to do some type of a discussion with PennDOT for final mill and overlay if they're going to make us do a full width, but it's usually with PennDOT, it's just you pave your trenches. So there's different levels of that sharing the pavement, but I guess if I wanted to paint this picture real high level at this point, we're doing the best we can to coordinate everybody's efforts so that there's one paving at the end of this and everybody shares the cost so that we aren't tearing up somebody else's brand new paving.
And trying to get the trenches close together? Is that the idea?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No, not necessarily. I think in the borough streets, it's 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag, so you
Right.
fit it in where you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And we're dealing with gravity, with storm and sewer, so it's wherever you can fit it, you fit it.
All righty. Okay.
The next one is the private development there, the Gettysburg Station. We were anticipating that they might be ready to come back to you guys to do an update of where they stand with their stormwater management, but they're just not quite ready yet. I did get a letter from the County Conservation District. They submitted for their NPDES permit, and they let that expire. It went beyond 60 days for them to respond, so they had to start over with them. Bottom line is, and I did report 2 months ago that they're revamping their stormwater system
Right.
pretty significantly. So the next time we see this, I anticipate that we're going to see something completely different. They're working on soil testing right now and getting back through all the permitting and stuff, and that just takes some time. So
Well, our next meeting is scheduled for July. So, I think maybe by that time.
maybe,
we'll be
yeah,
ready.
maybe by then we can have something to take a look at. Bottom line is that we don't have anything right now, and they're working on it. And I know, like I said, I know the Conservation District even pulled it off of their table, so we're in a waiting period.
Okay. Any questions from? No? Okay. Storm sewer pipe, Charles?
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of updates on this. I've had some limited communications with the borough solicitor, Harry Eastman, on this. Solicitor Eastman suggests that there is a firm that kind of specializes in PUC complaints. So I'm waiting for some more guidance from Solicitor Eastman on this topic.
Okay.
That tends to be fairly specialized work,
Yeah.
PUC work.
Mm-hmm. Pat?
Okay, this is not full information, somewhat anecdotal, but if you go out Route 30 East.
Keep
talking
going.
about-
Keep
Well,
going.
I assume as Met Ed put their poles right in the middle of that brand new sidewalk out there.
That would be them.
Yep.
And it looks to me like they started moving them out of where they mistakenly put them. So, however Strabane pulled that off, maybe we could learn some, if we contacted them, maybe there's method to
Yeah.
get some satisfaction.
It would be worth a
Phone
Well,
call.
Phone
ask,
call.
yeah.
Yeah. Who was
Yeah.
their solicitor? Do you know?
Sam Weiser.
Sam Weiser, okay.
Yeah, you're not wrong that those sidewalks are less than a year and a half old, 2 years at max probably. And Med Ed
Drilled
punctured
right in the
them
middle.
right in the middle of them,
Yeah.
like it was designed to be that way.
If
And
nothing
It's a
else,
nice
it would.
pad.
If nothing else, it would prove to me a pattern of behavior that they have
Oh.
that's totally unacceptable.
completely,
And yeah, I think we could use that to help our case.
yeah. Yep.
Good point. Maybe a phone call.
I can show you Med Ed poles in town that are right in the middle of those hobbies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've dealt with it.
Okay. Any other questions?
So we are working on one of the things that came up was how much at the council meeting was how much does it cost, and do we want to move forward while we're fighting with PennDOT over this with fixing the pipe? Are we concerned about the storm pipe that's damaged? And the question is how much is it, before we make the decision on do we want to move forward with that, we need to come up with how much we think that's going to cost. So that's in my court right now. I'm trying to
Okay.
come up with a cost estimate, so.
Okay.
Pat,
Pat, go
question on the sign, is that, how detrimental is that puncture to the function of the storm pipe?
That's the question, the
That is the
$100,000 question, I'll call it. So we haven't televised it since the original. It would take another televising to be able to see if it's continuing to fail. I don't suspect that it has, but we haven't had a major storm event since then. So whenever Charles and I have talked about this, we've decided that if a big storm event comes through, we'll want to televise it at that point to see how urgent this is, how soon we want to move forward. So it's hard. It's hard to. It can't stay like that for super long term. I mean,
No.
do I think it's going to fail within the next year? No, but I also don't know if we're going to get 3 back-to-back big storm events. If that's the case, it's going to start washing materials in.
And it would be interesting to see if that pole got hit or brushed by a truck, what would happen? If it's undermined, in there, so. But I'm not hoping that, I just, I think the right way to go, as I said, was logical. Next big event, televise it.
Right. And in the meantime, like I said, we'll try to get a cost estimate of how much it's going to cost if we want to move forward with doing the fix. We need to know how much we think that's going to cost before
Right.
we make that decision.
So you'd have to move the pipe around their pole.
Nah.
Because we can't call somebody in to move their pole.
Potentially, if you look at the way that the damage is, have you seen the photos? You can't see the pole in the pipe. You can only see rocks and dirt pushed through the side of, like in the photos from the televising. Almost like as they were augering it, it pushed rocks through the side of the pipe, not the pole itself. So there might be a chance that pipe, we could cut the piece of pipe out and put another one that's basically touching the pole without having to move it per se. That makes sense what I'm saying there. It's not the pole. You can't see the pole in the photos. You can only see the rocks that the
Or
augering kicked
displaced,
in.
right.
So the pole could still be over at the end. It could be missing. The pole could be missing it was the installation that damaged the pipe, not necessarily the pole that damaged the pipe.
That would raise other questions in my mind, like the integrity of the pole installation. Right now, I assume they have some standards, which is a pretty big assumption at my point. But they didn't, if you take away part of the one side that's supporting that pole, it may, and I assume that would lean the pole into the street if you took that away. Is that?
Or towards
Or
the
Or
sidewalk.
the other way.
Which way it goes.
yeah,
You don't want that pole coming down.
I'm not an engineer for Med Ed, but I will say that it's
In the pole, the hole is a lot lower. The end of the hole that they dug
Yeah.
is a lot lower than the storm drain pipe.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and usually
Probably about
Yeah.
5 feet below the pipe, it's still embedded in the ground.
yeah. And usually so what's holding that pole up isn't the ground. What's holding that pole up is all of the wires overhead. They pull in all different directions. So that pole that's in the ground, that's just keeping the bottom from kicking out. That's all that's doing. it's not holding up the pole. It's all of the overhead wires that are pulling in a different direction, or guy wires, or sometimes they have strain wires. That's what's holding the pole from falling. It's less about the ground. The ground is just to keep the bottom from kicking out more so. So that's my extent of knowledge on how those things are designed. But I don't know that I wouldn't say that I would be ready to say one way or the other that that's negatively impacting their structure. That would be something that their engineers would have to weigh in on.
Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
I hate to question a registered professional engineer, but yeah, my experience and work for utility, those lines, you're right, some of these large transmission lines, if the line went, the whole string of structures went. Right? So I don't see that happening here. So I think those poles are independently constructed to stand, whether it's got lateral forces from the lines. You don't think so?
No, I'm confident that what I said there is accurate, because they wouldn't start doing it. They wouldn't start moving this pole because of how it's being pulled on all the rest of them. They wouldn't even have a guy go out there and pick up the line, cut the top off, and pull them over from one side to the other, because it was pulling over from that. So they're getting pulled from a lot of different directions from the top. I'm pretty confident.
Oh, they are.
Yeah. There's lines. If you get there and look at it, Racehorse Alley, there's lines that go down Racehorse Alley, and then there's also lines that go down Washington Street in all four directions.
There's also guy wires on
And there's guy wires. So I'm pretty confident that that's what's holding that pipe. It's not the ground itself.
Okay.
Here on the Stormwater Authority, we talk about everything. Utility poles, as well as
And
stormwater.
then when they sink them through one of our pipes.
Yeah,
Yeah, especially when then.
okay. Any other questions? So we'll wait to see what happens. Chad, Stevens Run Channel, Carlisle Gillen.
So same thing with that one. I don't have a whole lot to update you on today. We've completed the design, waiting on DEP permits. That's the next step. We will need to have conversations with the property owners next. So that's one of the things that we're going to have to tackle and start working on those easements, those right-of-ways. That's going to go into the conversation with grant applications. If we want to apply for a grant application, we're going to need to know who is the
right to be
grantee.
Right.
Right. So that would be my next step is to start those conversations. So I don't know if the Stormwater Authority has any thoughts on. I feel like, just from discussions with Charles, that it should be a couple of people at those meetings.
Well-
There's more than one property owner. There's the City Mart on one side.
Right.
There's the old Ugly Mug building. I can't think of the name that it is currently, but it was a vape store, I think, in there for now. But we had to talk to both of those property owners, start that conversation about those rights of ways.
Well, here's my question then. What homework do we have to do internally before we have those conversations? Because I would hate to just walk in there and start just saying, well, we think we need an easement. We don't. I would rather hone in a little bit on what makes the most sense and at least lead with that. Wouldn't Adam?
Yeah, definitely.
And know for sure what the legal ramifications of the deeds are, I assume they both go to the middle of the channel, but I'm assuming that.
Yeah, that's.
I wouldn't assume that.
And
yeah.
see if there's anything attached to the deeds.
Well, the deeds do go to the center of the channel. We have that surveyed. We have that shown on our
Okay.
plan. I don't know, and Adam say I wouldn't just jump to any assumptions. I don't know if the deeds say anything else about any rights to those walls.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
the part we don't know about. We just know that the property line goes to the center of the channel.
Yeah. And it's in the center. It's not just to a point in the bed of the stream.
I'm pretty sure it's in the center. Yeah, we have it. We surveyed a couple of properties around there and built them all in, and that's where it is. Now, is it exactly in the center? I don't know that. But it's real close to the center.
Okay.
it sounds like we need a game plan. Before-
I would start with a search. I'd search this specific property, see if you can find anything. You know, referencing rights, I doubt you will. But then you know what you have to start with, if anything.
And then, before Pat, then coordinate with C.S. Davidson about what they have. So I guess, Pat, go ahead before I start.
Well, I was just gonna say, can I assume that none of these properties have the same situation? Like some of them, do all of them have property lines through the middle of the channel?
No,
Yeah.
they're all
Okay.
different.
We all have different, so,
Correct assumption.
yeah, I would suggest that we do a deep dive in one of each case, because, and then we can develop some consistency across what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Chad,
this-
do you know offhand an example of a property that it doesn't go to the middle?
All those ones that has that aqua, ADEM or AD something is the Adams Aqua.
Not me.
Yeah, not Adam. It's not that Adams. Trust me, you don't want that Aqua. But there's some of them where I guess they didn't know who owns it, so it just went to this Adams County parcel mapping, stuck this ADM Aqua
Yeah. If you click on
property
Lake
over it.
Heritage, it says the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in those cases, I'm pretty sure that the property owners stop at like the edges of the wall, and they don't go out to the center. Now, on this Carlisle to Gilliland, that doesn't exist. That's one place where that ADM Aqua doesn't show up on the
Right.
county parcel mapping, and we pull the deeds, and they do come out and they touch each other right there in the middle of the channel.
Yeah.
So in this one, I'm pretty sure, but there's going to be other ones that's going to be a little bit different.
Right.
I know of one down at 4th Street, 4th and Victor. The property owner is to the south of
Mhm.
Tiber, but he
Yes.
goes all the way over to the curb line on Victor.
He goes over the channel? And
Yeah.
that's the guy right before the bridge?
His property line's showing that. It's going over to the curb line on Victor.
That wouldn't
Yeah.
surprise me at all.
Well, and the
Yeah.
other one that I wanted to bring up tonight also is the wall behind Gettysburg Glass and the upholstery
Right.
place. That property line goes just beyond the wall. It doesn't go out to the center line, but we haven't surveyed that. So this is, again, I'm going by county parcel mapping. It looks like the property line goes just beyond the wall. But our surveyors, that's one where it's our high priority, so we do the inspections every 6 months. Our structural engineers are very concerned about that one.
Right.
It showed a significant amount of change since the last time we inspected before this winter, because this winter was pretty cold and there was a lot of frost, and they suspected that frost caused it to move. So it's at this point, it's holding up its own weight. It's to the point where it's falling over so much. So we would like to, with your permission, we would like to send a notice to that property owner, just letting them know what we know. Not saying that we're going to take responsibility or that they're going to take responsibility, just letting them know that we've done an inspection on this wall and we are noting X amount of rotation on this wall, and you need to be put on notice, and the Stormwater Authority will be looking into this further, just so that they are aware that there's a concern there. Maybe invite them to move their things away, or don't park their cars so close to it. Those kind of things. Just because we know this, I feel like we should be sharing that with them. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts or objections to that?
Anybody want to?
Well, I guess if I received a notice like that, my first thing I would do is call back to the Stormwater Authority and ask, what are you going to do about it, right? So before we send it, we better have some idea what our response may be, too.
I think the first thing we got to determine is who's the responsibility. Because the Stormwater Authority could do the same thing to them. We suspect that wall is on their property, that we suspect that maybe it's not the current upholstery place that built the wall, but it may have been their predecessor, but we suspect that the property owners built that wall. So the Stormwater Authority could send them a letter saying, what are you going to do about it? Right.
And that's why I think before any letters go out, Adam needs to take a look to make sure that we've covered ourselves, because you're right. I mean, it can go both ways.
I think this is a real-world example of measure twice, cut once,
Right.
you know.
And that one, unfortunately, Adam, I don't have any survey on yet. We weren't authorized to move forward with that one. Just Gilliland to was it Carlisle?
Yeah.
I have survey on that one, so I can, maybe the next step is I'll shoot Adam an email with the survey that I have showing those
That would
property
be
lines.
helpful, just, you know, which specific properties are we talking
Yep.
about? And where do you think you'll need to work and get in?
Well, given the seriousness of the rotation on this, what is the feeling of the board? Should we allow C.S. Davidson to go ahead and to survey that property? So we know, so we have more information anyway, and turn to you and say, you might as well do, you know, a deed search as well. Because if what you're reporting to us, if that's the worst thing, I mean, at least we're moving forward in a positive direction to learn more.
It's gonna be information we need anyhow.
Yeah, eventually, so, and if it's one of the worst places, we can bite the bullet and let's
Gotta
do
start
it.
somewhere.
But the landowner owns the wall that's of concern, right?
We believe.
We believe.
Think so,
Okay,
yeah.
let's make that assumption.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't think there's anything that we've done as an authority to cause an additional stress or problems with that property. It's all natural. So I wouldn't think we'd have responsibility at all if you take one position on this.
Well, this is the issue that we're coming down to. If indeed we're going to assume the authority for all, or the responsibility on building all the walls or repairing all the walls.
Yeah.
This is just one of
Yeah.
many, and if we do it, then we have to go and get some sort of easement or, you know.
But this goes back to Kurt's comment about it. As a landowner, he'll send a letter to us, and I'm not sure we have direct responsibility.
Well, I don't think we're on that path, but my point is, let's find out more about that particular problem, and then start talking about exactly what you're talking about.
And then I have another
Go ahead.
question. Okay, for the properties where the property line comes right up to the edge of the channel, does the opposing property come up to that line, or does it come up to the other side?
You know, the channel itself is this ADM Aqua thing.
Channel itself is.
It's like 20 feet wide. It's property. This property that exists in this ADM Aqua property. So the property owner comes over to here, and then this property owner comes over to here. It's like a street right away almost that follows that stream.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to understand. So the middle doesn't have individual ownership, so would
Right.
it be assumed that the borough would own it?
I wouldn't jump to that assumption. It's just no man's
It-
land.
Yeah, you can have property out there that there is not a clear owner of. I mean, it is not always the case when you get surveys that somebody's legal description on their deed, if you plot it, comes to a point and therefore the people across the street or wherever meet you exactly there. I mean, you can have overlaps, you can have gaps, you can have all that stuff. I would not assume that that aqua thing is a true indicator that nobody owns that. I really wouldn't. You know, that there is not a deed out there that says that nobody owns that. Now you're almost getting into water law, which is again a really interesting field. Not that anybody would confuse the Tiber with a navigable stream. I wouldn't recommend it, unless you have a duck boat.
With wheels, but go
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean, it's very possible that people's legal descriptions, and this is common in towns too. I mean, you don't have surveys done routinely when you buy property in an old town, because it'll be something from a plan of lots 200 years ago sometimes, or it'll just have very very basic 90-degree angles, you know, in a northerly direction, so to speak.
But this would be a good test of the aqua, whatever, because this is an aqua property, right?
The stream.
Stream is, that in front of that place, is that an
Neither of the
aqua?
two that we're talking about right
Yeah,
now have
just
that.
yeah,
Neither of the two that we're talking about
no,
right now have that.
but the other one further down.
No,
That doesn't
neither
have-
the Carlisle Gilliland or the upholstery has that
Oh,
aqua.
okay, okay.
That's in between. There's some other ones that have that, but
Okay.
I was just for instance, whenever Pat asked if should we assume that they normally go out to the
Right,
center and say
right.
no, you shouldn't, because there's these places where you have this ADM aqua thing where we just don't know.
But, I mean, just by way of example, I mean, if you look on Baltimore Street out here, you don't necessarily have people's property lines on the tax map going to the center of the roadway.
Right.
Mhm.
But that doesn't mean that they don't own to the center of the road. And my suspicion is that for whatever reason, the county tax office, in putting the parcel map together in that particular stretch, said, we, for tax purposes, are going to stop the boundary of this property here.
Doesn't mean they don't own it
Right.
to this, okay.
Mhm. That's not dispositive.
Okay, so it's a mapping.
I don't
It
know
could
why
be a
they did what
mapping
they
issue,
did, but
right?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tax parcel mapping. It's mainly for the purpose of taxing.
So I think where we are is we're at the point where, if the board agrees, we're giving you permission to
Get that survey done.
do that survey done for that piece of property at the upholstery shop.
And in the meantime, there's a grant application, a few of them, I think 3 or 4 of them out there that we've submitted for the flood mitigation grant
Right.
and for the congressional funding. So and those are all for the piece from Carlisle to Gilliland.
Right. So, yeah.
And one of the variables too that I wanted to mention before we move on is, so with the City Mart property, it came up a little bit that we think it's in the best interest of everybody to eliminate the little late night bites building and move the wall back a little bit. Line it up with the opening of the bridge. The
Correct.
bridge is actually a little bit wider than the wall, could potentially eliminate the flooding on that property. The flooding in the 500-year event, it actually goes out onto our street as well, on Water Street, so it could serve for the borough's best interest. But to eliminate that flood map, to change that flood mapping is a heavy lift. It's a $30,000 price tag. The permit, the Clomar, it's just the permit application is $10,000. So then there's a HEC-RAS analysis you have to do, and everything goes with it. So we have that built into the grant application request that we've submitted. So should we get grant money for it, then that's great. Should we
Right.
not get grant money for it, we're going to have to come back to that conversation. That's a big variable that's going to come up whenever we have these property owner conversations. Because I have a feeling that that's going to be a potential contentious item of eliminating that late night bites building.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to keep that in mind. I don't know if I have an answer to that right now, other than at some point we're going to have that conversation soon to progress that project.
No, but that's gonna be an expensive building.
Oh. I don't know why he'd want to build it on.
Mike,
So, please, go right ahead.
just to clarify, Chad, we started with your thought that we should send a letter to the people owning the upholstery stretch there. Do you feel there's an imminent danger that do we have a moral obligation to warn them of a structural failure there?
Yeah, that's kind of the indication that I was getting from my structural engineer was that he said, of course, my crystal ball is broken, but could we get a big storm event next week and that wall fall in? Yes, it's to that point. So could it last for another 5 years? Yeah, it could last for another 5 years. We don't get any major storms again, right? So we just don't know. You know, I mean, we don't want to sound like little boy that cried wolf here, but at the same time, we are concerned enough about it that we were thinking that we should send them a letter just saying, hey, we're just letting you know this. If you haven't looked, go out and look at this wall. It's leaning. pretty significantly, and it's moving. Every year, every time we measure it, it's leaning more.
Can you word that diplomatically to warn them, but not give any responsibility to the Stormwater Authority?
Yeah, would you like it if I wrote some of the technical language and then threw it over to the solicitor to take a look at before we send it? Make sense?
I think it should come from the authority rather than.
Ultimately,
the
it comes from the
office.
authority. Yeah, I like that. I'll put the technical language together, saying like, hey, look, this has been rotating this much, and then this much, and this much, and we're concerned about it. We're making you aware. We'll send it over to Adam, see if he wants to add anything to it, and
Then I
then we'll
can
forward
sign it.
that over to Mike to sign on behalf of the Stormwater Authority.
That's fine as long as the solicitor weighs in on this and the technical information is there. And we give the owner a sense that we're going down a path to try to solve this problem.
It's kind of obvious. Like, I'll be surprised if this property, either they didn't go out there and look at it lately, or they're going to go out there and look at it and go, oh crap, right?
Right.
It's pretty clear. So at least it would be something on record that we've made them aware of what we know.
Right.
Are we sure that the property line, that the wall's on their property?
Not 100%, and that's
And-
why we
and-
need to have that survey done.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't think we should send a letter till we survey the property.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to say anything about who owns or where the wall is or where the property line. I wasn't going to even get into that. We're just going to say, hey, we're just letting you know that there's a wall that's very close to your building and very close to where you park that is falling in. So maybe keep your cars back a little bit. And don't stack anything else back there. They stack some stuff behind their building that's like right on top of the wall.
Really?
It's really close. Like if it falls in a corner of corner of their building, the upholstery building,
That's Statler's.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's behind Gettysburg Glass too, isn't it?
Not so much them. It is a little bit behind them, but it's mostly Statler's. The one that I'm mostly concerned about is the upholstery building. It's really close, like where their corner of their building is. Like it could go in. Now I don't know that the corner of that building that I'm talking about. It seems like it's like a shed area or something. I don't think it's occupied, but it's really close to the stream.
Okay. Pat?
It seems like may not be urgent depending on when we get the next big storm, but I kind of agree with John. If we survey it first, it makes it more clear what we're talking about. If you just throw it out there and it may or may not be in your property, well, that just raises more questions than it answers.
Right.
I don't know that we need to introduce a level of mystery into this. I think if you can get your facts up front and then make an informed, you're presenting them with factual information, and then it's a discussion rather than, you may own a wall that may
Right.
collapse at some point in the future.
Right.
I think it's probably a little bit too vague to accomplish anything other than raise some alarms, maybe.
Makes sense.
So what I hear is, it sounds like we're going to survey it first, and once the survey is done, we're going to put together a letter, depends how quickly this gets done, that will be co-authored by the two of you,
Sure.
and then signed by me, and sent to the owner. So then it'll be on our radar, and then it'll be added, I think it's already added to our Penvest potential borrowing. Okay. Do we need a motion? Or is there a consensus? I'm sensing there's a consensus that we're gonna go in that direction, okay?
Yeah, as long as the minutes show.
Yep.
Survey, letter,
Survey and letter.
okay?
As everything else is churning in the background for
Yep.
financing and.
Yeah, and everything that I said there, everybody's good with in terms of those other grant applications. And I guess the one other thing I wanted to say about the other churning of
You're moving to the number 7, right? Grant
Yes,
application.
yes,
Penvest,
the grant.
yes.
Yep,
Yeah,
I am.
yeah,
I'm
go ahead.
kind of
Mhm.
leaning right into that.
Right.
So one of the things we talked about last month is if we apply, So the congressional funding that we applied for is 100%. If we get all the money, great. We pay for everything. There's no money that the Stormwater Authority has to pay there.
Beautiful.
Right? I don't know that there's
Not
a lot
likely
of
to
discussion.
happen, but beautiful.
Right? That'd be a good problem to have. We'll figure that out.
Right.
If the flood mitigation grant, though, had a cost share, and the question is the Stormwater Authority prepared to pick up that cost share if we submit that grant application? There's a 20% cost share that was with that. So I don't know if you guys had any more thoughts to that or not.
How much was that?
I think it was around 600,000. 20% would be a little over 100, 120. It was originally a little over 700,000. That came down, if you can remember. I think I did report this last month. We originally thought we were going to have to do those helical pile tiebacks on the side of the Ugly
Right,
Mug.
right.
We found out that there's a basement under that building, which is good news, actually. We thought there wasn't going to be one because of its proximity to the creek. That was the wrong assumption. There is a basement, which allows it to have its own footing and its own wall. So it's holding itself up, even if we take down the stream wall. There's two walls beside each other, essentially.
Right.
So we could take our wall down, build a brand new wall. We don't need to do this helical pile. It's significantly cheaper, $100,000 cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So that took our price from over 700,000 that I originally reported down to closer to 600,000. But still, if we apply for that grant application, we need to make sure the authority, and this is part of that conversation with going to the property owners, is willing to fund the 20%. Because we haven't gotten the property owners to agree that they would fund this 20%.
Any comments?
I still think 80% is better than nothing.
You're going right where I am. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, when we apply for these grants, if there's a money tied to it, we're committing it at that point.
Right.
I mean, theoretically anyhow.
Exactly.
Whether it's 10% or 20%,
Right.
it's still money that we're getting for free, but nothing's totally free, so.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to be clear that we shouldn't even apply for it, to John's point, if we're not going to commit to the 20%.
That's right, that's right.
Right.
I think we're committed to it, so.
And we might even have to, Charles, correct me if I'm wrong there, and I'll have my grant writer follow up with Charles, but there might even have to be a letter that we get from Charles that says, yes, the Stormwater Authority is good for that 20%
Right.
that goes
Yes.
with the grant application.
Yeah, there's always a commitment letter
There's always a
required.
commitment.
Right. Okay, I think we're all on the same page with that. Any other questions before we get to new business?
I just wanted to, the other piece to number 7 is the Penvest. I did reach out to
yes,
the
so-
folks at Penvest. The board was provided a copy of the draft. The only thing outstanding on this draft, and this is a preliminary discussion, a pre-qualification questionnaire, if you will, for funding from Penvest. The only thing we need to clarify is our exact number of EDUs for the authority, and once we get those numbers, I'll be circling back with Penvest and beginning the formal conversations about taking a loan.
Okay, you'll be
Yeah.
back to us.
Yep.
And what's the going interest rate with Penvest? Do you remember? Was it 3? Was it
I don't
3%?
recall off the top of my head. It's very minimal.
Right,
It was just over 2. It was
Yeah.
not over 3.
Yeah.
okay, so, okay.
And Mike, if I could add
Sure.
something to that. So one of the conversations that we had was, if back to the beginning of the year, we were looking at potentially getting Penvest funding for the channel walls. We found out that they won't fund that because it's designated a stream. We chased
Right.
that down. We can't undo that designation. It was a dead end. So we're back to only funding the channel walls with grants or with money in hand. But we have a significant amount of storm drain projects, and I think Charles did forward to you guys in your emails a list of little plans we pulled together.
Right.
We've got five different projects: East Lincoln, Queen Street and Johns, Chambersburg Street and Zerfing, Long Lane, and Scap. You add all of those up, it's 2.707, so $2.7 million worth of storm drain projects, and these are pipes underneath the buildings that are actively failing. Like literally, a truck fell into the one in Scap. Chambersburg Street collapses every year. We fill it in with concrete. I think you guys are aware of this, right?
Right.
I'm preaching to the choir here. But there's $2.7 million worth of storm pipes that we need to fix. With that money that Charles presented earlier, it's not enough. The big one that we're going to come up here is East Lincoln. So the question is, do we want to start using this Penvest funding? And if we want to use it for East Lincoln, we would have to move pretty quickly, because I think East Lincoln, we're going to have to start making payments on that this fall.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is the 5 projects that I just mentioned, and you can see them added up there. And again, in your folders, there's also little maps of each one of these. We did a little master plan, and these things are in different levels of design at this point. East Lincoln, as I explained earlier, is mostly designed, so we're pretty confident with where we stand on that one. The Queen Street and John still needs a lot of design. That one includes a realignment of Getty Street. So there's a lot that goes in with that behind the Dobbin House there. It floods in that area. There's a lot going on. The Chambersburg Street and Zerfing Alley, that's that pipe that went under the old Gettysburger, that we finally know where it's at. We have a certain level of design when we did our pipe underneath the railroad tracks that our telephone pole is going through. We made that pipe deep enough to be able to pick this up, but we still didn't do any of the design on Chambersburg Street, get PennDOT permits, any of that kind of stuff. Long Lane, we did a master plan of that years ago and kind of pushed that to the back burner, but Long Lane's where the cul-de-sac is. All the water from the whole borough goes down there. It's real low in the floodplain. And then the SCAP, that one's the one that has the least amount of design done to it. This is just a really rough swag at a cost estimate, I'll say.
I saw it rerouted around the building.
Yeah. Yeah, because underneath, that's the one where the dump truck fell in, the SCAP's parking lot. But the storm pipe and this carries all of the water off of York Street, goes underneath of a house there, Sharon Michaels' house on York Street, goes around the fire hall, underneath of the railroad tracks, and then ultimately underneath the SCAP, right? So this is a public storm drain. It's not SCAP's problem. The goal is to get it out from underneath the SCAP and at least get that part of it taken care of. We aren't looking to do anything under the railroad tracks with that, so that $347,000 does not get us a new pipe under the railroad tracks. It's just everything between the railroad tracks and Stevens Run along that alley beside SCAP. So there's a lot, right? There's a lot.
Underneath the railroad tracks was very good in 1992. When
And
we built the firehouse.
And I think that's an RCP, so it could still be in decent shape.
Well, and there's a stone arch under the railroad tracks too.
Oh, the one that the fire hall ties into? Or is that a different one?
One that comes down to the back of the fire hall and makes a left hand, or
Yep.
yeah. So you get out under the main line, there's a big archway under there.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Well, we just know that.
It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Charles, do you need something from us to continue this? We're putting together an application. I think we've approved this to go ahead. The only thing, I would love to see a principal and interest schedule on the 2.7 million to see what kind of hit it would be.
I don't think
for
I
us.
need anything more at this point. Once we finalize this preliminary questionnaire, that'll formally begin the conversation.
I think we push ahead and see if it's out there for us. And then see what it looks like in the budget for the payment. Okay.
We gotta fix.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have a choice. We gotta get going here. Any other questions on old business? I have 3 quick things under new business, and hopefully they're quick. 52 West Confederate Avenue, we met out there, Chad and I think Mrs. Shara was there too.
Correct.
And so any more activity from the owners there at 52 about, I know there was an easement discussion, but nothing's occurred.
So there's actually two different things that are going on right there at that property. The drainage from 52 onto the downstream property owner that comes off of Red Patch.
Red Patch,
That little
right.
dead end road right there. So that's issue number one. That requires an easement from the property that comes off of Red Patch. I did see some email correspondence between the property owner and Deborah instructed that they need to get that easement.
I
They
saw
were
that.
instructed that back in September, again in October. I forwarded that email back to them again saying it's still in your court. Your stormwater design does not function as intended without that easement. They
Right.
need to have that easement acquired and then the pipe constructed within the easement that they proposed. So we shouldn't push forward anymore with approvals on our end until that easement's in place. So there is, as far as I understand, the property owner's working on it.
Okay, John?
Go ahead.
I'll add to that, the property owner situation has been compounded recently by some deaths and international travel. So this will be something that's going to take a while to resolve through an estate process.
So, I guess the question is, let me get this right. They delayed, didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they're continuing to work on the house?
No.
They
That-
stopped?
That's one of the issues. They're seeking to have a stop work order removed.
To remove, but,
To do so, they have to complete the stormwater, these components, and that's what's causing.
but they're working there, you know that.
Well, this will be a discussion we'll be having with PMCA then. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, I think that needs to be discussed.
So whenever I visited after you and I had talked, the only work that was being done was a person on a mower. He was doing outside landscape
I've seen
lawn work, but I didn't see anybody inside.
soil dumped there.
Oh yes, I did notice that. You're
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. So that leads
So-
to the second conversation.
Right, and they have issues with the Park Service that aren't our concern, but hopefully it's not our concern, that has to do with stormwater. But yeah, they need to sort of get their act together, actually. So, anyway, that being said, a quick question, John, I don't know if you have the answer to this or Deborah does, but the county was gonna do a flyover this spring, we were told last year. Could you check on that? I asked Marty Qualley that question, and he was gonna check on that. I've not heard from him. But,
This would be associated with aerial pictometry for like tax map purposes?
yeah, they do it for tax
Okay.
map, but there's an overlay for permeable and impermeable surfaces, which we are very interested in.
We're having a bit of a fun time with the tax maps at the moment. They're having some updating issues with their IDX
Okay.
overall. So that's something we can investigate and see if it isn't updated, at least getting a schedule.
Right, something on the back burner, because we need to stay as current as possible. Okay, and the last thing I had is for you, Chad, it's a quick thing. Could you, I don't have it in front of me, oh, yeah. A few years ago, you did something that was called GBSWA projects, completed projects, active projects, and planned projects. It'd be nice to update these things, to have a laundry list of the things that we've accomplished and things that are in process, and then what's on the list, because what's on the list is pretty easy, but I think we forget sometimes what we've done.
Yeah, so this is the year where the borough redoes its 5-year capital project program, CIP. We'll certainly incorporate that request into that broader document.
Okay. Again, just keep it on the back burner, because I think it's important information to keep from year to year for,
I think we have
Those who come after us, too.
Charles and I have an appointment coming up soon. Is it this week or next week? I know it's, I saw it on my
So
calendar.
we put it on the calendar a couple months ago
Yeah.
already to start that
Sneaking up on us.
project.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments about anything?
Just a quick question, Robbie. Last year, we approved the purchase of a remote control mower.
Yes.
Have we received that? Are we using that?
Yes, we're getting ready to do that this week.
Okay.
So Stevens Run, the
We're gonna be
Tiber,
starting tomorrow with it probably,
okay. Where you gonna start?
up park,
Okay,
and work our way through town.
it's in town. Okay, great. Great. It's a great tool. Any other comments? Public comment, there's no public here, except for our new chief back there and the chair of the Borough Council. So, okay. Thank you, everyone. Do I hear a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
And second.
All in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. This meeting is over. See you in a couple months, everyone. Thank you very much.
Order this business meeting for the Borough of Gettysburg Borough Council for Monday, May 11th, 2026. Before we begin tonight, we will start with the pledge and the moment of silence. And I ask that you keep in your thoughts tonight former colleague Danny Hilliard, longtime employee of the Public Works Department, head of the Public Works Department for a long time, passed recently. He was a good colleague for many of the people in this room. It was before my time, but please think about our departed colleagues as you organize your thoughts this evening. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. An executive session was conducted by the Borough Council of the Borough of Gettysburg immediately following the adjournment of its work session held on, sorry, there's an error in this we need to correct as we read it, right?
April 27th.
April 27th, 2026, consistent with Section 708A1, Section 708A4, and Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act. An executive session of the Borough Council will be conducted immediately following the adjournment of this evening's monthly general business meeting, consistent with Section 708A1, Section 708A2, and Section 708A4, and Section 708A5 of the Sunshine Act for the following purposes. 1, to provide updated information and to discuss matters involving the employment or appointment of current or prospective borough employees. 2, to provide updated information and to discuss strategy in connection with the negotiation of a new collective bargaining agreement with the Teamsters Local 776 for both the borough's uniformed police officer employees and its non-uniformed, non-professional employees. And 3, to provide updated information and to discuss strategy in connection with a complaint filed with the PHRC and the EEOC by a former borough employee. And 4, to review and discuss matters of borough business, which, if conducted in public, could lead to the disclosure of information or confidentiality protected by law. At this moment, I would take a motion to approve the May 11th, 2026 agenda as presented.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we have an agenda. I would also take a motion to approve the minutes of the council meeting for April 13th, 2026, and the council work session of April 27th, 2026 as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, omissions, corrections, or additions? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Tonight we have some special business we need to conduct. As many of you in the public may know, just shy of a month ago, we hired David Snyder to be our new chief of police, and having satisfactorily satisfied the requirements under the state of Pennsylvania and MOPEC, he has now become, once again, Act 120 certified and can now be sworn in as our chief of police here in the Borough of Gettysburg. Would anybody care to make a motion to appoint David Snyder as the chief of police of the Borough of Gettysburg, retroactively effective to his start date of April 6, 2026?
I make a motion to appoint David Snyder as Chief of Police of the Borough of Gettysburg, retroactively effective to his start date on April 6, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Excellent. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Welcome aboard, Chief Snyder. At this moment, I'd like to ask Mayor Lintel to please administer the oath of office.
Personally appeared before me David Snyder, who was appointed to the position of Chief of Police, Borough of Gettysburg, and who took and subscribed to the following oath. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Thank you both for that. We're lucky to have you, and we're glad to have you fully aboard now. In this moment, too, I would also like to acknowledge that over the last 10 months or so, after our previous chief left us, members of this department have stepped up in challenging ways, and have taken on the mantle of leadership while we engaged in the executive search. So I just want to acknowledge two people in particular tonight. First, I want to acknowledge the work of Sergeant Evans, who was our officer in charge for just about 10 months. When Sergeant Evans was first promoted to sergeant, council watched with great interest as he began to forge his own command style and to work through inherited problems. I remember happily asking him to lunch and listening to him explain his guiding ethos in his work when it comes to background investigations, and that was quite simply no bad cops. He looked me in the eye and he said it, and I knew then that he was a straight shooter, a capable and compassionate person, and exactly the type of person one would want to put into a leadership position. Over the last year, as we have worked a little more closely together, I've come to understand that the quality of his work output is tied inexorably to his character. I've watched him take on the difficult work of mending fences, and even when he disagreed with me, he was always kind, professional, and understanding. He has been, and I'm quoting, the only human element in some people's most painful chapters of their lives. We are truly lucky to get to work with Sergeant Evans, and I hope that we get to do so for many years to come. And I mean this sincerely and fully to Sergeant Evans. Thank you for what you've done for us for the past year. Also, I want to talk about Officer Bill Orth, who acted as the acting sergeant for the same time period, backfilling Chris Evans' role. Bill is not the first officer I met when I came to town, but he was the first one to take me up on my plea to call me if he ever needed to talk. I've come to know Bill not just through our interactions, but also from the stories that our neighbors tell. I know him as a capable, competent, and caring officer. Being our neighbor and living in this community is a gift I don't take lightly, and so I know it comes with challenges. This year, Bill has continued to show that he is not just a good officer, but also a leader and a teacher. He's a calming presence, and he has so much to offer our young officers. I cannot thank him enough for stepping into the acting sergeant's role this year, and I hope he will continue to shape the next generation of officers and leaders with us. Again, with all of my sincerity, thank you to Bill Orth. All right. We were to have a presentation tonight from the emergency services folks, but that had to be postponed due to personal matters. Did you have a proclamation?
Yes, I do. Do you mind if I read?
I would love that. Thank you.
So the Office of the Mayor presents this proclamation of commendation to Police Sergeant Christopher Evans. Whereas Sergeant Christopher Evans was appointed as officer in charge of the Gettysburg Borough Police Department on June 9th, 2025, and carried out the duties for 11 months until May 13th, 2026. Whereas Sergeant Evans provided departmental oversight and professional leadership to 12 officers in the department, while maintaining a high standard of public service to residents and visitors of our community. Whereas Sergeant Evans played an integral role in building trust, fostering collaboration, and supporting the broader Gettysburg community. Whereas Gettysburg College recognized Sergeant Evans for his commitment to relationship building, his dedication, and his positive impact by awarding him the Outstanding Community Partner Award in February 2026. Whereas during his time as officer in charge, Sergeant Evans completed the FBI LEADA 5-Star Chief Executive Institute, the highest level of leadership training offered by the FBI Law Enforcement Executive Development Association. Whereas our community unites in expressing a debt of gratitude to Sergeant Christopher Evans for his service. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Allison Lintel, on behalf of the Borough of Gettysburg, commend Sergeant Christopher Evans for his exemplary service to the residents of this borough. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. It takes us to our first public comment section of the evening. This section is restricted to items appearing on tonight's agenda. If you'd like to speak, we ask that you use the podium. Please speak directly into the microphone. Please state your name and address of residence, and we ask that you limit yourself to 5 minutes. Is there any public comment?
My name is John Hartman. I live at 56 Hanover Street in Gettysburg. And for years I have been reading about the Gettysburg Station project. The detractors, who are many, have never mentioned one of the aspects of this rezoning that will allow 7-story buildings is that in the wintertime they will create a sun shadow, denying the people that own property north of them the ability to install any kind of solar energy to help offset their electric utility cost and to benefit the environment. The developers, I understand it, and please forgive me if I misquote or misremember any of these issues, wanted 3-story buildings on Carlisle and Stratton Street and a 7-story building in the middle of the block. Has anybody ever thought about him having 4 stories, and 5, so he would still have 13 floors of space to use and not create the problems that I previously mentioned? I understand that this vote was taken a long time ago, and a lot of those people are no longer serving. But most recently, apparently, the developer failed a traffic study, which the law said should have been the end of the project, and now he wants a do-over because of an event that was going on. We have a lot of events, so there'll be a lot of events that are a lot worse than the one that caused the failure of his traffic study. The do-over of this study, I think, gives these new members of this council who did not approve this, including the councilman at large that's no longer serving, a chance to do what most of the people and most of the entities, including the Park Service, want to stop this 7-story building. Now, this has been going on a long time. The first thing my borough should have done with this property is to recreate a two-way street between Carlisle and Stratton Street, North or Railroad Street, creating another full block of commercial frontage for whatever use might wind up being done with it. And if you will bear with me, I'd be very interested in seeing the members of this council go on record individually if you or any members of your family have ever been given any donations, jobs, trips, or meals by the developer, or any donations to any nonprofit agencies or that you might be affiliated with. I have no way of knowing if Chad Allen Carr, who was a vote for this way back when, might have gotten money for his vote. Thank you very much.
Public comment. All right, thank you. We'll move on to the rest of the agenda. We'll start this evening with the Planning Department, Mr. Whitmore.
Good evening. Thank you. The report is provided electronically. It's a combination of HARB and the general planning impacts. Overall, there's the 4 cases tonight associated with HARB approvals at their April meeting. In addition, one case, La Bella, that had some additional approvals associated with it. They received special exception approval from the zoning hearing board to allow for the special, eating place without drive-through use in the NC3 district where they're located. So basically they were allowed to create a outdoor dining area, and they had previously had an approval for it, but the one that's been approved now is much larger and is more functional. Additionally, looking at the zoning hearing board, we'll be having 2 upcoming meetings. And then one of those is tied to an upcoming planning commission meeting where we'll be discussing the Habitat for Humanity project on location where there was a single-family dwelling and a duplex that they were raised. They're being redeveloped by Habitat process to be able to permit the duplex again is going through a variance process. But then other than that, at the May 20th Historic Architectural Review Board meeting, we'll be having the HARB Awards. Those will begin. We're starting roughly at 5:45. Light hors d'oeuvres, but a number of projects we're going to be going over that were completed in the past 2 years, especially looking at the impact for America 250. Overall, that's the general report. If you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask me.
All right, are there any questions for Mr. Whitmore? All right. Would anybody care to start making the HARB motions?
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00094. Major project 220 Baltimore Street, Hammerhead Realty LLC for the removal of a subsurface front basement window on the Baltimore Street facade and 2 subsurface side basement windows on the wall alley facade and to infill all openings with bricks similar to that on the building.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, please.
I'll make a motion
Go ahead.
to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00113, major project, 219 South Washington Street, Adams County Historical Society for the Phase 2 construction of a new 2-story rear museum addition, the construction of a 1.5-story transparent connector/lobby, the creation of a landscaped pocket park, and the conversion of the existing structure to an A3 museum use with associated improvements conditioned that the new construction design is respectful and secondary to the log cabin structure.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, please, Labella.
I make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00111, major project, 412 York Street, La Bella Italia, for the construction of an 18-foot by 64-foot deck attached to the structure at 412 York Street to be used for restaurant dining, with an 18-foot by 44-foot section to be under roof, the construction of an 8-foot by 18-foot shed structure to serve as a summer kitchen, the installation of an outdoor pizza oven and serving station, and the installation of a 6-foot by 56-foot vinyl privacy fence.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Mamasburg Street.
I'll make a motion to accept the HARB new business recommendation for COA 26-00092, major project, 17 Mamasburg Street, Corinne Stokes, for the exterior improvements to include the removal of a non-functioning exterior chimney, construction of a 12-foot by 12-foot rear addition to extend existing kitchen, replace front porch, replace existing windows with period-appropriate simulated divided light windows, and roof alterations to expand first and second floor bathrooms and kitchen.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any questions for Mr. Whitmore before we move on? All right. Thank you, sir. The Parking Department, Mr. Gable.
Parking revenue collected in the month of April was just over $143,000, which is consistent with tracking of recent years by comparison. You can see the bar chart at the top. We are essentially equal to where we were at this time in 2025. The other thing I wanted to remind the council of, a couple months ago we had a suggestion from a member of the public, and council was intrigued by the concept of altering the parking hours of enforcement to 10 p.m. In the evening. And since that time, the parking department personnel have been tracking parked cars at around 7:45 to 8 p.m. on various streets throughout the borough. So look for an initial analysis of that for your planning, your work session later this month. We can start putting numbers to hypothesized parking revenue in the hours of 8 to 9 and 9 to 10 based on the statistics that have been gathered. And we want to start talking about that sooner than later, as that may factor into your budget making decisions for 2027.
All right. Any questions about parking? All right. Thank you, sir. Public Works, Mr. Harbaugh.
Good evening. Members should have received my report. A couple highlights on my report. Spring brush pickup. Spring brush pickup will happen in 2 weeks, May 18th. It'll go the whole week. Excuse me. Our crew will be going around twice around town twice that week, collecting brush only, no leaves. And residents are urged to put their brush on top of the curb, not in the street or along the edge of the alleys for collection. Also in the community, you're going to see us starting to pre-stage blocks for the Memorial Day Parade that's coming up at the end of the month. That's all I have.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Harbaugh? All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Claybaugh, the Borough Engineer.
Good evening, Council. You have a copy of my written report. The only item that I want to highlight, you also have a motion for on your agenda tonight. It's with regards to the 2026 street work. Before we get into the motion, there's two contracts here. Contract 2 with Contract 1 with JVI has just been completed a few weeks ago. We did a substantial completion with them. You'll see some patches around several streets. They do need to come back in a couple weeks from now and fix a couple of things that we noted. Robbie was with us in that meeting. So it's not 100% done yet, but it's mostly done. So we're pretty happy with that. That we think that contract's going to end up at $182,000. As a reminder where we were for that budget, we started at $190,000. We dropped down to $180,000 after we eliminated that one curb ramp, which I didn't think was a good idea to do. And then since then, we're going to end up at around $182,000 because there was a couple of patches as we were going through here that we felt like we needed to pick up. So I'm pretty happy with where we stand on that one. So keep that $182,000 in your mind here as we discuss this contract number 2. So contract number 2 is after we go through and we fix all of the bad spots in the road, all the patches, we come through and we do a surface treatment on all of those streets. That's contract number 2. It's a separate, different contractor. When we bid this a few months ago, we only got one contractor, and I wasn't satisfied with the bids. It was significantly over our budget. Couple of reasons for us to rebid. I made that recommendation to you. You did authorize me to rebid the project. So we got favorable results by rebidding. The rebid came in around $16,000 less than what it did when we bid a few months ago, and this time we got 3 bids. So for those 2 reasons alone, I'm pretty happy that we did that process. It paid off, and we were a little bit concerned there with the gas prices going up that we were lucky to get a lower price, $16,000 lower. We kind of dodged a bullet there. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now, before you just get right into the motion to authorize the low bidder, which is Russell Standard, at its low bid of $243,375, there is still an option that the Borough Council can take, and that's whether or not you want to still do Constitution. So this goes back to in the fall, whenever we budgeted for this project, we budgeted $363,000 total. And that's for contracts 1 and 2 together. That budget was based off of numbers whenever we did our last capital improvement plan, which was over 5 years ago. It didn't take long into this new year until we started looking at all the streets that we had planned to do that we were going to be significantly over that budget. I came to you guys in January, February, did a presentation at our workshop meeting, and I said, hey, we're going to be significantly over. There's some streets that right off the bat that Robbie and I knew that we could cut, so we did that. But then we were still going to be over budget, and I said, do you want us to stay over budget? Or the only other one that I don't really want to cut is Constitution. If we cut Constitution, we can get pretty close to budget. Your suggested to me is, can we bid it with Constitution and or without Constitution as an alternate? And I said, yep, we can do that. So the estimate that you have there, the $243,375 includes Constitution. Now, if you would award that plus the $182,000 that we owed JVI that I just mentioned for contract 1, that takes us up to $425,000. That's $62,000 over your budget of $363. Again, a budget that we established 5 years ago. If you cut Constitution, it'll take it down to $376,000, which is only $13,000 over your $363,000 budget. So all of this is on the first page of my engineer's report. If you have that report, you can follow along with these numbers. But again, I'll give you those two options. If you go with this one, the $243,000, you add the $182 that we owed JVI, it takes you to $425,000. It'll be $62,000 over your budget. Or if you cut Constitution, it'll take it down to $376,000, which is $13,000 over your budget. So a little bit of more feedback on helping you to determine or make a decision on those two options is the overage here, I would assume, and I'll have a conversation with Charles about this, that it would be paid for out of your liquid fuels account. It won't affect your general budget. I think there was close to $1 million, right, Charles? A little over $900,000 in your liquid fuels account. So it's just whether or not you're going to use more of your liquid fuels this year versus doing that someday in the future. So it doesn't really change your bottom line in your budget, it's just using your liquid fuels. Most of the work that we're doing this year is liquid fuels eligible. I think the only things that weren't really liquid fuels is some concrete work, and then also I forgot to mention the crosswalks on Steinway are both done as well. So I'd invite you to go out there and take a look at those. I think they turned out really well. That's the one at Tommy's Pizza and at the one at Dobbin House. Those are not liquid fuels eligible. Aside from that, most of this work is liquid fuels eligible, so liquid fuels could cover the difference. The only other thing I would say is that because we did go through the rebidding process, we got some better numbers. I'm pretty satisfied with the unit prices at this point. And Constitution really does need done. If we kick the can and try to do it down the road, I don't think we're going to get any better numbers in this at this point. And it's still going to need it done. It's just not going to magically fix itself. So my recommendation would still be to go ahead and get Constitution done. We already put the time and the effort into the engineering and the bidding process to take advantage of that. To keeping it in there would be my recommendation. But again, it's up to you guys on whether you want to increase your budget for that line item. So,
I'm sorry, what is the approximate balance on liquid fuels?
I just looked. It's just over $1 million, and this is exactly why council judiciously did not use liquid fuels over the last 5 years for eventualities like this. So you do have funds available.
And we're not banking that $63,000 in liquid fuels for any other projects in the future that we'd be kicking down the road?
No, the only other project that we have is the sidewalk on East Water Street Bridge that could potentially use liquid fuels money for. I believe that price tag was
Can't be that much.
in the $120,000 range. It wasn't going to use up anywhere close to that $1 million.
Okay. Opinions?
Yeah, I'm inclined to keep Constitution Avenue in the project. As you mentioned, kicking the can down the road, I was thinking the same thing. I can't imagine that cost would get any cheaper. And if you feel like in your expertise that we would not be able to get a better bid on that, I would say that we go with Constitution Avenue as part of this project.
Nods.
I just have a quick question for Charles, and we've probably gone over this when we've done budgets before, but just to remind, liquid fuels is that something that, where does that money come from? Do we get something from the government every year for liquid fuels, or is that number in there?
Yes, that is your tax, your gasoline tax that everyone pays at the pump whenever they fill their vehicle up. Mm-hmm. And the state has a formula that each municipality is awarded based on the number of road miles within your municipality. Okay. And so we get about 170-ish thousand a year.
Okay, thank you.
You okay spending it? Right. So we would make the motion as written then?
If you make the motion as written, that includes Constitution, correct?
Right. Does anybody care to make that motion?
Sure. I make a motion to approve the 2026 street preservations contract number 2 rebid to the lowest qualified, responsive, and responsible bidder, Russell Standard, at its bid of $243,375 as recommended by the borough engineer.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Any questions for the engineer before we move on? All right. Thank you, sir. Chief Snyder. Officially Chief Snyder.
Well, good evening, everyone. Everyone should have a copy of our report electronically sent out. Some of the highlights I'd run through real quick. On April 8th, Sergeant Evans participated in a panel interview over at Gettysburg College. He provided insight on issues related to sexual assault. During the conversation, the discussion, he explained some of the processes behind the scenes that take place, and I think it was important that not only members of the student body, but the general public that was there gets an idea, of feeling of how those things, how they essentially are addressed. The mayor took a little bit of my thunder away, and Sergeant Evans did complete the FBI school. It is a great course, a lot of opportunities, not only for training in relevant topics, but also an opportunity to meet other police officials that are in similar positions from around the area. It's a good program. Some of the public events we attended, September 9th, Chris and I both had an opportunity to watch some of our candidates during the oral interview process. He and I had an opportunity to attend the Adams County Police Chiefs meeting, and during the same time period, I had an opportunity to meet with the district attorney and his staff as well. With reference to case highlights, I know we always have one in the report. In this particular month, Master Patrol Officer Holden did a really nice job on a series of retail thefts at a local location here, obviously in Gettysburg. And I think sometimes people have a misunderstanding of retail thefts, shoplifting, and it's a much more complicated crime than people give it credit for. It's not a kid in a candy store taking a Hershey bar kind of thing. It's much more significant. It's much more organized. And in the case of small businesses, and Gettysburg is full of small retail businesses, it can create some damage. He took a retail theft, turned it into an investigation where he reviewed surveillance footage, transaction records, did a lot of legwork, and ultimately was able to identify an individual that was responsible for close to $2,000 worth of losses from one particular business. It was great police work, and in a small business, I think that really matters. It's a significant issue. So we wanted to highlight that. Some of the training that took place, I'll skip to the last page. Detective Latarello was able to attend a couple courses, cell phone investigation techniques. That is something that we do on a regular basis now. We all live our life on phones. I don't know anybody that does not have a cell phone, and that becomes relevant in a lot of matters that our detectives are following up. So it's important to have people with those skills. He received training in social media accounts, as well as background investigations and interview techniques with child victims. So it was a full month in the detective unit, a lot of great training, and I'd be happy to answer any questions anybody has.
Any questions for the chief? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us back to the office of the manager and the treasurer, Ms. Stoll.
I'll just mention that we have the charrette event coming up, the records retention, so we have about 50 boxes that we will be disposing of on Friday.
All right.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Gable.
The motions under our tab are pretty self-explanatory. If there's any further questions as it relates to records retention, I'll defer those questions to Ms. Stahl, the Borough Secretary, who makes sure that we are in compliance with the destruction of those types of records. Year-to-date revenue versus expenses. The borough is about halfway collected on its real estate taxes, which is to be expected. If you remember, last month I was highlighting we were running a deficit for the year. pending the outcome of April 30th. And as you can see, we are currently flipped that and running a small surplus for the year. Still a lot of year to go, and there's still some tax to be collected there. So just summarizing that is that's positive news for the municipality this year. Just over 2.8 million in your general fund. Just over 1.1 million of that is your reserve, which you try not to touch. We did a little bit this year. If you remember when we passed the budget for 2026, we used 100,000 of that reserve, but you're still in a good position. Even though the threshold, your financial fund balance policy requires about 18% as a minimum in those reserves. We're just slightly under that. But I do think that the fact that this is the last year for ARPA, I think that's going to become more compliant just by the math that's involved in calculating that. So just pointing that out for folks. Fund 18, your capital projects fund, there's 471,000 in that fund. This number is going to fluctuate considerably over the next couple of months as we begin progress billing for the Gettysburg Welcome Center. So if you remember, we got a congressionally approved grant for that construction. However, it's a reimbursement grant, so we have to pay the bill up front, and then we apply for reimbursement. So you're going to see some fluctuations in that number, money in, money out, those types of things. So nothing to be alarmed at there. And then in Fund 30, you have 2.1, that's your capital reserve. So if we are awarded the build grant for the Baltimore Street project, largely that match comes out of Fund 30. With that, I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions for the manager? All right. Anybody care to make the first motion?
I'll make a motion to approve all bills and payrolls for the month as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have a COLA increase.
I'll make a motion to authorize a COLA increase for retired police pensioner Matthew Harvey to be paid from the police pension plan effective February 1, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. And the records retention.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 051126 for the purpose of authorizing the disposition of certain identified records of various departments of the Borough of Gettysburg in accordance with the provisions of the Municipal Records Act and a Municipal Records Manual consistent with the borough's intention to follow the schedules and procedures for the disposition of certain records of the Borough of Gettysburg, as set forth therein pursuant to the Borough Council Resolution Number 021020-4, adopted by the Council on February 10th, 2020.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I'll just say after the meeting, we all have to go up to John Whitmore's office, grab 3 boxes, and carry them down. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. This takes us to our liaison reports for the evening, and we'll start, as we always do, with Ms. Sellers from Main Street, Gettysburg.
Good evening, everyone. You have a copy of my report in your packet. A couple of things to highlight. In April, I was honored to attend Main Street Matters Advocacy Day at the Capitol. So myself and about 40 other Main Street managers, as well as representatives from the Department of Community and Economic Development and the Pennsylvania Downtown Center, were there to support the continued budgeting for Main Street programs throughout the Commonwealth. So the program received funding for the first time in the last 2 years since I think that was the first time in 18 years. It's a small portion from where it had been previously. About 18 years ago, it was about $56 million. We're asking for $25 million this year to be distributed throughout the state. This provides operational support so we can implement the programs that really have a great effect on our local downtowns throughout the state. So stay tuned on that. I'm excited to welcome a new business in town very soon. So Timeline Arcade is going to be going in at 48 Baltimore Street. So stay tuned for that grand opening. I think it's really going to be a great opportunity for family entertainment, things to do in the borough after dinner. A good time. It's a successful arcade already in Hanover and York. So they're expanding to Gettysburg and really excited to bring their vintage toys to our downtown. So this last week, Steinway Bid met, as we always do, the first week of the month. Councilwoman Mayers is not here, but she was at that meeting with us. We went over several things. Planning Director Whitmore came and discussed the public right-of-way use, as well as outdoor dining permits, the shred event. And we also talked about Gettysburg Bike Week, the Welcome Center, and the Charters of Freedom Park that's happening on Steinway Avenue. All sorts of updates, busy things happening on Steinway Avenue. Next meeting is June 4th. The Adams County Community Foundation. So I have applied to participate once again in Main Street to applied to participate in the Giving Spree again this year. November 5th of this year. So all those contributions that come to Main Street Gettysburg will support the endowment fund for the Gettysburg Welcome Center. So you'll be hearing more about that as well. So to end on the Gettysburg Welcome Center, just a quick update. The steel was installed, the framing, on April 17th. So that's 6 tons of steel that is outlining our new building. 3 days ahead of schedule, so that was exciting. And the walls are in progress going up. We continue to meet with the contractors, and our next meeting is May 19th. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Do you think the arcade's going to get Mario Kart? Because if it is, I will crush all of you.
I will check into that.
Right.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Jill. Gara, Mr. Rio.
Yes, there's been a lot of work recently improving the amphitheater at the rec park. New lighting, masonry repairs, repointing, as well as a mural designed and painted by the Vita Charter School. So if you haven't seen all that work, it's exciting. And plans are underway for Memorial Day celebrations and July 4th as well.
Great. Thank you. GMA, Mr. Berger.
Yeah, sure. The sewer line has been replaced on Buford Avenue and that stretch of road between the light and Farrell Point. All that's left is the paving. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but it's going to happen soon. There was paving on Bream Alley behind the dollar store. The work's nearly done there. There's still some work left at the entrance and sidewalk off of Middle Street. Hopefully that will be done fairly soon. We're looking to bid the Lincoln Avenue job this month, and most of us got the directives on our phones and such about system flushing for GMA. Started last night. It's going to go through Thursday this week, and the next week from Sunday through Thursday, the 21st. It says if you have discoloration of the water, just let your water run for a few minutes, and if there's any questions, to call GMA.
Chad, I'd noticed that when they paved Bream Alley, they brought the pavement up to the same level as the sidewalk. I don't know if that was your doing, but if it was, good job, thank you. It removes an impediment to access.
Since it was a compliment, I'll take the compliment. It wasn't me. I will pass the compliment on.
Thank you. They did a good job there. All right.
Robbie deserves the compliment.
This guy. All right.
It was between GMA's contractor and myself.
Excellent. Thank you. ACBA, Mayor Lintel.
No updates at this time. I'll attend my first meeting on May 18th.
Great. I did attend COG this month. The majority of the meeting was a presentation by Representative Dan Mao. He swears it wasn't a campaign event. I question that. His accomplishments are many, and he has some exciting stuff that is coming our way. One of the most notable things is he says that they believe that spring of 27 will be the groundbreaking for the Eisenhower Drive extension, which I think is going to be really important for the eastern half of this county. And also, he's very optimistic about a bill that hopefully is emerging from committee that would allow municipalities to use our own websites for the advertisement of meetings, which would be a significant savings for most small governments like ours. Other than that, he talked about many of the different areas that sort of intersect with his interests, including housing, development, and some very interesting agricultural things. It was very informative. Happy and the trail feasibility study, Mr. Berger.
Yes, we are still working with CS Davidson on the trail feasibility study on Boyd School Road. Looking to finalize that study this summer, with the next steps to be talking to municipalities about a maintenance agreement. There also has been some meetings on the possibility for art projects along the GIL on Racehorse Alley. I haven't been to those meetings, but they're looking to do some things with that.
Great. Do we have any updates from Actipo, Ms. Stull? Okay. Recycling, Mr. Mooney.
Following up with the gentleman who was here the last two meetings, his concerns were addressed and taken care of, but I did reach out to Waste Connections, and they do not offer a larger recycling container, so the one you have should be adequate for a family. If you need more than that, say it's a multi-residential place, you can get multiple same-size units, so that's all I have on that.
All right. Some of us will be touring the transfer facility tomorrow. Are you able to join us for that? It's very exciting. We get to go tour the dump tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you know what we see. We had fire and EMS reports, and that takes us to elected officials' comments. Mayor Lintel.
Yeah, thank you. So I included a brief update report in the mayor's folder, but a couple of things to highlight. On April 29th, 2026, I met with members of the Mason-Dixon chapter of the Alliance of Bikers Aimed Towards Education, known as ABATE of Pennsylvania, and I declared May 2026 as Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month in the borough. Additionally, I had several meetings with stakeholders and community leaders throughout the community. I attended several events, a couple that I will highlight. Let's see. I attended the Adams Economic Alliance 250 Years of Industry and Innovation event. I attended several events put on at the college. I also recently attended Destination Gettysburg's National Travel and Tourism Week breakfast that occurred to learn more about their efforts underway, and in particular, the promotion of the America 250 events. I also today attended a ribbon cutting for a new business in town that has expanded. Daryl M. Sipe Opticians and Hearing Aids has a new location at 39 North Washington Street. So they have an optician on site there as well, in addition to the hearing aid resource. I met with Gettysburg College President Bob Uliano. I also met with some other faculty over there. I met with a representative from the Adams County Housing Authority, their Housing Choice Voucher Program. I met with someone from the Healthy Adams County Bicycle and Pedestrian Incorporated Group. I also met with a representative from Gettysburg Cares about their shelter and to discuss their ongoing needs. And I met with some leaders from the Adams County Library System, as well as Jill Sellers from Main Street Gettysburg. And I have lots more meetings coming up where I'm continuing to introduce myself and get to know some of our community organizations. And then lastly, I have launched an undergraduate internship program for academic credit out of the mayor's office, and that is in conjunction with the public policy department at Gettysburg College. So I have interviewed candidates for summer, fall, and spring positions, and those interviews are ongoing, but I have hired some folks for summer as well as fall, and the summer intern will start on May 18th.
That's great. Yes. Sort of tangential to that, I think we're also going to be getting our new junior council member starting with us soon to replace Ms. Prieto, who has moved on. Hopefully she'll be starting with us in the next couple weeks or so. So it's nice to have somebody in place for the summer as well. Any other elected officials?
Yeah, I just wanted to say for the flag installation on the square, I just want to thank. I believe it's Chad and Robbie. Is that your teams that kind of put that together? And Robbie, and the and the garden club and everyone who put that together. I think it's a really nice tribute and
displayed in other locations as well across the municipality.
Thank you, Destination Gettysburg.
Great. Anyone else? All right, that's going to take us to our second public comment section of the evening. This section is not restricted to items appearing on tonight's agenda. We do ask that you limit yourself to 5 minutes. Please use the podium and speak directly into the microphone. Please state your name and address of residence.
Good evening, all these smiling faces. My name's John Lawver. I live at 524 McMillan Street in Gettysburg. One thing I just heard about recycling that I have noticed lately, since we changed carriers, there doesn't seem to be as many residential recycling cans out at the curbs on Monday morning in the west end especially, and the north end on Tuesday. So maybe code enforcement might want to look into that, because that's money out of every taxpayer's dollar pocket. So I'm here to talk about the last waste hauler we had, December 30th, when you were under contract with Waste Management. December 30th, they did a pickup at a property that I'm partial owner in 26 East Stevens Street, and they damaged the house. Their truck took part of the siding off of a second-story casement window that protrudes out of the side, but not over our property line. So I think that's important to know. They caused about $600 worth of damage. It was very difficult to get a hold of them. I had to come up and talk with Sarah. She finally got in touch with somebody for me. Then I got a phone call out of Florida, and they sent a man up to investigate. But he didn't get here till the middle of January. And he got here after it snowed, to which he said, well, those dual tracks in the snow obviously didn't hurt your house, so that's not our problem. And I explained to him that had he been here on December 31st when the truck hit the house, there was no snow, and it's a different set of rules. We're out roughly $680 because they have decided that they're not going to be responsible. So I'm here looking to see if maybe the borough solicitor could send a letter or somebody, because you guys contracted with them. They created damage to our property and they refused to pay. Unfortunately, when it happened, we figured we could talk to them and it would be taken care of, because on the telephone, they said they would handle it. Well, they handled it. They turned it over to their insurance company, which denied it. And shame on us, we didn't get a police report because we didn't think we would need one. I would hope that if nothing else, you remember this, along with a picture I saw in the paper where they ran into a shed and knocked a garage over. Obviously, their drivers need some training. But when the contract comes due 3 years from now, I would hope that you remember these incidents and don't deal with Waste Management again. They're not a reputable company as far as I'm concerned. They create damage and they refuse to accept the responsibility. So any help we can get from the borough would be greatly appreciated, even if it is just a letter, Harry. I don't know if the borough has any legal responsibility since you issued the contract or not. Those of you who know me well can only imagine my comments to Waste Management when we were denied and my attitude that went along with it. So obviously I've calmed down before I got here tonight, but still a little bit disturbed about the whole incident. So if there's anything can be done to help us, we'd appreciate it. Otherwise, we're just out $600 and some until I can find another way to get it back from Waste Management. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Anita Adam, I'm here in proxy for my son Andrew Adam, the creator of Unity Park again. Purpose tonight is just to augment a couple of the things I talked to you about at the last meeting and come up with a proposal for a resolution or accountability for what's gone on. I have all these papers here. As I explained last time, I'm more than happy to share. Grant was written for Unity Park, revitalization of Unity Park on March 22nd. With the specific Eagle Scout project by Andrew Adam discussing Civil War drummer boy at the time. A letter in support of that was written by Mr. Reynolds, the Director of Facilities, who definitely knows the difference between Unity Park and Alumni Park. May 6th, the Gettysburg Times wrote an article that sometime in May, this grant was awarded for Unity Park. I failed to mention last time that on June 2nd, a Caleb Sellers pitched to the Gettysburg School District a bandstand at Unity Park Eagle Scout project. During that time, when I listened very carefully to this, the transcribed notes from the meeting, more than once he absolutely knew the difference between Alumni Park and Unity Park and explained that in his presentation. July 19th, there was a call for volunteers at Alumni Park. And on August 7th, a report on what was done with grant money at Alumni Park. And again, the grant was written for Unity Park, but a report was done on Alumni Park. Unfortunately, there was nothing, the grant was given to Unity Park and to revitalize that park. Nothing was done at Unity Park, and I've had a couple people look at Alumni Park, and it appears as if not everything was spent there the way it should be. There's a listing for $2,200 of composite material. We can't figure out where that money is. What I'd like to do tonight is to come up with a solution for this. Just like the gentleman said here, that there's a shortage of resources and stuff. Excuse me. My son is no longer in the area, and because the grant was given to Unity Park, we are no longer able to get a park. We are no longer able to get a grant to do the refurbishment necessary in Unity Park. I have here with me receipts for work that is already done in Unity Park, and at this point I am requesting fair and corrective action for this. And what's fair and corrective action? Looking around at the room and looking at the ages on all of us, when we were kids and we threw a baseball and it went through the neighbor's window, we what? We paid for it. We did the right thing. We took responsibility. We paid the right thing. I have receipts here for $2,200 of work that's been done in Unity Park. It needed to be done. The grant money that was awarded for Unity Park should be transferred to take care of this. And I'm here to leave the receipts. I'm here to answer questions. But I would like to try to get answers and a resolution on this.
Do you have anything else to add to your public comment?
No. Who can I follow up with to get answers and resolutions on these things? Because I'm kind of getting ping-ponged around a little bit, and it's kind of getting a little frustrating.
No, I understand that. Our role here is just to receive your comment. We're not here to have a discussion about it. But I did respond to you in writing about the borough's lack of involvement in the park.
Well, when I go on Borough of Gettysburg, I see that Main Street Gettysburg is under your economic arm. So who supervises Main Street Gettysburg?
As I said in my email, they have their own board of directors.
Oh, they have their own board of directors. So I have to go to another board meeting? Okay.
I don't know, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I think you all should know what happened here. A grant was written for $4,000. Not a penny was spent in Unity Park, and honestly, $3,300 is unaccounted for. It was not spent in alumni, and I think that's completely wrong. And I don't think that's how we should be. Is this what we're teaching our kids? Is this what we're teaching our kids? No response. Interesting.
I would just add that the borough does not own either Unity Park or Alumni Park, so you, ma'am, if you'd let me finish, ma'am, if you'd let me finish, you'll really want to address this with the Gettysburg Area School District, who does own both of those parcels.
Their comments are addressed it with you, sir, because they didn't write the grant. Lovely. Everyone knows what happened here.
Is there any further public comment tonight?
Please. Jill Sellers, president of Main Street, Gettysburg. I did